Time for our extensive roundup of the football qualifiers, and we're going to break the games into two segments. So leading off our first series of reports, it's Armagh versus Donegal.
Armagh went into yesterday's qualifier with Donegal in Crossmaglen on the back of a heavy trouncing at the hands of Monaghan. But they could hardly have wished for a brighter start here. Mal Mackin set up rising young star Jamie Clark, foiled by Paul Durkin initially, but solidly dispatched at the second attempt. It got even better 5 minutes later. Skipper Stevie McDonnell lofted an aerial shot that should have been contained by two Donegal backs. Instead, ace marksman Clark controlled with his right and finished with his left. From such a launching pad, Armagh could hardly fail. And in Garrett Swift, they had another emerging player of genuine class. Indeed, there was much to admire in the pace, rhythm and understanding of this Armagh performance. Michael Murphy offered one of the few outlets for the outclassed Donegal men. He was the one they looked to time and again. And just before the half-time, he was helped by Colin McFadden, who got his only point of the match, 2-6 to 4 points for Armagh at the break. Into the second half, and Glenn Swilly's Michael Murphy narrowed the gap, one of 4 pointed frees out of his tally of 7. But almost immediately, Armagh responded. A first of the day for captain Stevie McDonnell, 2-7 to 5 point now. After that, there was no disputing the worth of Armagh's football, as they banished the memory of defeat in Casement in the Ulster Championship. Great points by Garrett Swift, 3 from Aaron Kernan, and just the occasional response from well-beaten opponents. Late on, Donegal, not unnaturally, went for goals. And substitute Adrian Hanlon blazed over when a goal might have given this match the kiss of life. So overall, a job well done by Paddy O'Rourke and his skillful squad, convincing winners at St Oliver Plunkett's Park in Crossmaglen by 214 to 11 points.
It is a huge boost, obviously people have targeted us and said we're a one-man scoring machine, and to be fair, there has been games when that has been the case, but throughout the league we were able to get a spread of scores, and we looked at that and we asked players to step up today. And I think, not only Jamie, but we got a number of scores for a number of positions. And I don't know what the stats exactly are for our scoring rates, but I do feel we had a fairly strong spread of scores right across the pitch.
Derry have had successful runs through the qualifiers before, as on 2 occasions they reached the semi-finals, and on Saturday night they were ahead early as Charlie McKeever scored after 3 minutes, and points from Mark Craig, Mark Lynch and Emma McGuckian put Derry 4 points up. Carlow responded and drew level courtesy of a Daniel St Ledger point, and moments later they scored the opening goal as Mark Carpenter blasted the ball past Barry Gillis. Derry then scored 3 unanswered points, 2 coming from James Keel's frees, but credit to Carlow, who levelled up the game again. 2 Simon Ray frees, and this nice point from Carpenter made it 7 points apiece. Both sides traded points before Derry got their opening goal. Owen Bradley latched onto a quick free kick, got around his man before blasting the ball to the Carlow net. Derry led 1-8 to 1-7 at the break, but they were the dominant force in the second half. Bradley put over 2 more points, Mark Lynch got another, and this Declan Mullen score put the Derry men 5 in front. Daniel St Ledger scored all of Carlow's scores in the second half, and 2 points became 5 when St Ledger was in the right place at the right time to score his side's second goal. Sean Gannon shot off the Derry post, but St Ledger poked home to cut Derry's lead to 3. But Carlow were then hit with 2 late sendings off. The first saw fullback Shane Redmond get a second yellow card from referee Maurice Condon for a foul on Owen Bradley. Down to 14, Carlow would then reduce further when JJ Smith, who had already been shown a yellow card, got a straight red for a trip on Fergal Doherty. Bradley, whose brother Paddy pulled out of the Derry squad after being dropped to the bench, put over the final score to ensure that Damien Cassidy's side advanced to the second qualifying round. It finished at Dr. Cullen Park. Derry 118, Carlow 2-9.
Our build-up in the last 3 weeks to this game has been very good. Our players have responded. It was a long break from the Armagh game, and the 3 weeks after it was just about getting over that disappointment. But the last 3 weeks have really picked up, and our preparation going into the game today was very, very solid. You know, and we had one player back today, Antrim. It's the first time I've had the luxury of using him in championship football, and you know, he looked like a player that wasn't away from football at all there today. You know, the quality of the game that he brought.
There are no words to describe the atmosphere before last night's game in Newbridge. Respect and regard for the late Dermot Early and support for his son Dermot Jr. evident in the faces of every supporter during a heartfelt minute of applause. And when the game was slow to take off, it was Early who created Kildare's first score from play, finished off eventually by full forward Padraig O'Neill. Paddy Cunningham for Antrim and Johnny Doyle for Kildare exchanged frees during the early stages, but it was Kildare who managed to convert chances from play. Emmett Bolton, Johnny Doyle and Ronan Sweeney all contributed to a short-lived 3-point lead. Antrim stayed in touch with little difficulty. Moss McCann was unlucky to hit the crossbar after 20 minutes, and as the first half drew to a close, the visitors too found form, with Kevin O'Boyle and Kevin McGurty ensuring Antrim trailed by just 1 point at half-time. The story of the first half, though, lay not with the scoreboard but with the wide count. Kildare clocked up 12 wides to Antrim's 0. From there on in, this was never more than a 2-point game. Paddy Cunningham was outstanding from frees. His personal tally for the night came to 10, and his accuracy from placed balls compensated for the lack of scoring prowess elsewhere on the team sheet. Cunningham matched Kildare's exploits from play during normal time until Kevin McGurty stepped up to level the tie 13 points apiece. On another day, Kildare's wide count would not have been so high and they'd have won this game with plenty to spare. But ironically, Antrim, who'd registered just 3 wide so far, sent another 2 astray during injury time to send the game to extra time. If Antrim should have taken this game during normal time, then perhaps Kildare should have wrapped it up in extra time. Again, Antrim relied on frees from Paddy Cunningham, and when Kildare substitute Owen O'Flaherty put 2 points between the sides, the Lilywhites dared to believe. Cunningham would reduce the margin before the second period of extra time, however, and when Kildare hit the post with their last real chance, Cunningham took full advantage to level affairs for the fourth and final time, 15 points apiece. Not one of the 8,000 supporters left Conlett's Park until this game was well and truly over, and many stayed to applaud Dermot Early Jr. off the pitch. His bravery on and off the field yesterday characteristic of the man and his family.
You don't really expect anything less of Dermot, like, you know, he's just, even when we asked what he wanted to do, like, there wasn't a question with him or his mother, like, you know, they take representation very seriously, whether it's the county or the country, and they're always going to be playing. So
we probably should have won the game, you know, in normal time, because in the last 5 minutes we were by far the better team and showed a wee bit of lack of composure. We had 2 or 3 chances, rush of blood to the head, and any other day, you know what I mean, we made a do a free or maybe popped it over the bar, but just delighted to get another chance.
It's not that far from Clare to here being the fateful county of Offaly. The Bannermen travelled in confidence. They've been unlucky not to win promotion from Division 4.
We're going out in 6 minutes. Get yourselves ready there now.
Remember, their opposition in O'Connor Park, Tullamore, hadn't won a championship match in 3 years, so the pressure was on the home side. It showed in the opening 35 minutes. Depending on your perspective, Clare were either very good or Offaly were awful. It took 22 minutes for them to score, a point by midfielder Brian Geraghty. Half-time, Clare 6, Offaly 1. Offaly manager Tom Cribben decided to redesign his team at the break and introduced Sean Pender, Graham Guilfoyle and David Egan, and it was the latter who scored the goal with the help of a wicked deflection after 9 minutes into the second half to reduce Clare's lead to a point. 5 minutes later, Clare midfielder Gary Brennan from Clondegad, who was outstanding, created the chance that was brilliantly finished by Shannon's Kevin Cahill. Clare won 10, Offaly won 5. The game over? Not yet. 3 minutes to go, Clare led by 4. In football, that's a lot. But Offaly is not called the faithful for nothing. Niall McNamee provided the leadership, and a cracking shot that took another deflection smashed off the crossbar to the waiting Ken Casey, who made no mistake from close range. 1 minute to go, and a miscued 45 by Kieran McManus fell to the substitute Graham Guilfoyle, who kicked over the equaliser. Full time, Clare 113, Offaly 210. Extra time required. Offaly looked the fitter side during the next 20 minutes and scored 8 times to Clare's 5. Niall McNamee, Ken Casey, Carl Slattery all got on the scoring sheet, as a team that looked ragged initially were quite simply transformed. It ended up 14-a-side as Clare's Graham Kelly was sent off on a second yellow card for this shoulder charge on Stephen Ramigan. It seemed particularly harsh. Later, Offaly cornerback Brian Darby was also sent off on a second yellow. Clare will wonder how they lost this one on a day when David Tubridy scored 12 points and didn't win. Offaly can build on this, but they will know that they got out of jail in Tullamore. Full-time score after extra time, Offaly 218, Clare 118.
It's a huge win for Offaly football. Those young players needed that win. Hopefully we can grow in confidence now and take this thing to another level. It's been 3 years since they've won a championship match, and that meant an awful lot to them there today, is to show great character.
All right, let's reflect on some of those games. You were at the Armagh Donegal game. Are Armagh good or are Donegal shocking?
Well, I don't want to spend my roundup time talking about Donegal because they were just shocking and let themselves down badly, I felt.
Are Armagh in the hunt then?
They are. They're definitely, as I said yesterday, they relaunched their championship ambitions. They had a few injuries going into it, so they gave youth its fling, and they were rewarded with young Clark and Swift. Anton Duffy, unfortunately, was doing well, but has taken what looked like a dirty injury now. So, yeah, it was a day for youth, and they did very, very well. Dangerous opponents now in the next round.
All right. We had the Carlow Derry game, and I suppose the big talking point there, Dara, was that Paddy Bradley didn't show up with Derry.
Yeah, and it will be a talking point, and it's never a good sign when one of your key players decides to defect like that. Owen Bradley more than compensated with 1-6, but at the same time you need Paddy Bradley on the field, and you know, from a distance it looks like there's a bit of discontent in the Derry camp. They've had a long break in mitigation. They've had a long break, and that win will bring them on an awful lot. And there was always only going to be one result in that game, I would have thought, but at the same time the vibes are not good coming out of Derry. All right then, Kildare and Antrim, that's a replay next Saturday in Casement Park. How do you see that one going, Kevin?
It would be a hard one enough to call. I thought Antrim, you know, when you take into consideration the circumstances that surrounded Dermot and his colleagues, I thought Antrim would win yesterday. You know, it goes back up to Casement Park next week. I would say a 50-50 call on that. I think Kildare will improve, obviously. Antrim being at home is a great advantage in the qualifiers. Slight advantage with Antrim.
And Offaly got out of jail maybe against Clare, Dara. Can they build on that, do you think?
Yeah, Tom Cribbin talking about bringing it to the next level on the evidence in the two games they've